Did you watch John Oliver this week?
I did.
They're trying to get us back for even thinking about sea mining. We should probably stop.
Yeah, that's just not a good idea. That's just, there's got to be better ways of getting the things. And according to Oliver, like, that's not even something that we need because we're going to be off of those batteries soon.
We're going to use salt batteries.
Yeah.
China's ahead of us at something else.
What?
They're developing new batteries.
Speaking of China, don't mind me. I'm really into this game. As soon as the battery dies,
Honestly,
though, I'm going to put it down.
I'm kind of upset about it because this is what my life is like at home right now.
I'm sorry.
All Chris does is play his game, and now I come in here, and you're just playing your game.
I'm sorry, but...
And I need to know that I'm being heard.
You are.
I don't think I am.
I'm listening to you.
I don't think I am.
You were just talking about John Oliver and the mining.
My favorite thing yesterday during the first half of the Celtics game, Chris was like, God, Jason Tatum can't hit anything. And I was like, Jason Tatum's like 6 of 11 and 3 of 6 from 3. He's like, yeah, well, and I said, maybe if you looked up and joined the world from the game, you know?
Not to contradict you, but I feel Chris, because I was watching that game and they told me Jason Tatum was balling. I was like, how?
Yeah,
how? It doesn't look like he's doing anything at all. But
were you playing your game too?
No, I was up and solely focused on that because I was watching it. You know how I do. I go to sleep at like 5 and then I wake up middle of the night.
I know
and
I sent you a
the
very
games.
important text and I was upset that you didn't get it in real time.
Did I get it in the
About
morning?
Charles Boyle.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
From Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
I meant to reply to that.
What
That's
a delightful little show.
It's such a good show.
It's very fun. We watched 3 episodes while working out yesterday.
Such a good show.
Yeah.
But yes. Also, I forgot about the theater
He makes
stuff.
musical references all the time. I'm like
nobody
sitting giggling to myself, and Chris like, what are you laughing at? I'm like, oh, just another musical reference.
Nobody else gets it but
Oliver.
him.
We've gotten damn Yankees. It's a good time. What game are you playing?
Sid Meier's World Civilization 6.
Of course.
That's a game we've talked about before, where you're a civilization and you're trying to conquer the world.
Yeah, I know.
And now, like, I might actually do it, and I've got it set on the hardest difficulty. I put it on hard because I wanted a quick game. And usually when I put it on hard, I get the hell beat out of me. And so boom, it's a quick 50-turn game and I get moving. Well, now I spawn with 3 other nations and I've already taken out one of them on my continent. I'm in the process of taking out the other one, and then it'll just be me on this continent.
I had 3 songs this morning.
Well,
Believe in Humanity by Carole King, Let Me Calm Down by Nicki Minaj, and then a song by the Black Pumas called something Lineman. Wichita Lineman. I deleted it. 2-1 on a Thursday morning. What's up, everybody? We don't have a 2-1 NBA Finals. It is Thursday, June 13th. Going to be a good day. Jessica Benson with you from the Grind City Media Studios in Memphis, Tennessee. CJ Hurt behind the glass. Coming up on today's show, the Celtics are 1 win away from winning it all. They go up 3-0 after their win in Dallas last night. We'll talk about the Celtics of it all. Luka Doncic fouled out, how he was critical in the Mavs not being able to get a big one last night at home. Teresa Walker will join us about 20 minutes in. The Titans have finished up their off-season program. We'll catch up with her about that, get her takes on some of the WNBA Team USA conversations from this week as well. And then I am so excited because we are tipping off our summer movie series. Our first movie category was sports movie. You, the people, voted on The Sandlot to be our first movie of the summer. We've rewatched it. We'll go through some of the best lines, the best characters, the best moments. We'll explain why I think just might be the best sports movie of all time. It's a Thursday. It's almost Friday. You know what we say. Cowabunga!
Grizzlies fans know it's the team that gives you the edge. Big River Steel does too. And much like the Grizzlies have recruited legendary talent, we want you to be part of our team. Are you ready to be part of something legendary? Then visit www.bigriversteel.com. That's www.bigriversteel.com.
Royal Flush Tour 2024. November 14th, FedEx Forum. A journey through the hits and timeless classics. The iconic band returns with special guests. Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Evening. Tickets on sale now at heart-music.com. Heart with Jason Bonham's Led Zeppelin Evening. Produced by AEG Presents.
Now for a limited time, the new $1.99 crispy tender wraps are here at Sonic. Who could deny a crispy chicken tender with bold flavors like hickory barbecue and cheesy Baja? And we can't forget the crisp lettuce and melty cheese to make the perfect bite. Wrap yourself up with some TLC, tender, love, and chicken for only $1.99. Sonic $1.99 crispy tender wraps. Tax not included, limited time only at participating Sonic drive-ins.
36 and a half vertical?
Watch your head.
Yeah, you said it was 44.
You sure I said that?
36 and a half.
36 and a half is big.
36 and a half. I've got bench press here.
18 times.
17.
Okay.
You always have to put a little barbecue
It's
sauce.
called barbecue sauce. Barbecue sauce on the wings.
The Chris Vernon Show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I think we have the college basketball title futures. UConn's number one.
I really like Houston. I'd have them winning it all, but you can't be giving Drake jerseys. What is wrong with you?
Maybe the Drake curse is stronger in college basketball.
How long has he been riding with Kentucky?
He wore an Alabama jersey and Saban retired.
The Odds Couple with Rob Fisher, Lang Whitaker, John Roser, and CJ Hurt live Thursdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
If you look at it as far as the number 9 pick over the years, there's been some pretty good players that have surfaced at number 9. Of course, Dirk Nowitzki, who won a championship. There's been a lot of great guys, but who knows if there is a great guy in this draft.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizzbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Feels great to feel the sunshine. Gotta own the day like it's all mine. Just got paid in his own time. Been working hard, I've been on the grind. I deserve this feeling, having my way. I've been on this healing. This is my day. The sun's out, let's have a little fun now. I wanna let it all out. That's what it's all about. Cause I deserve this feeling, having my way. I deserve this healing. This is my day.
Grind City Media presents The Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt. Live from the Grind City Media Studios on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
What's up, everybody? Happy Thursday. One day closer to Friday. Super psyched for today's show. Really excited to start our summer movie series. Bennett Doyle is going to join us to talk about the Sandlot in the second half of the show. Before we get to that, obviously got to get through the NBA Finals action from last night because the Boston Celtics have the Dallas Mavericks right where no team wants to be in this world, and that is down 3-0. That is uncomebackable territory. Honestly, without Kristaps Porzingis, once he was ruled out yesterday for the Celtics, I thought it was a win for the Mavs. I really, really thought this was not just an opening for the Mavs to win last night, but perhaps an opening for the Mavs to come back in this series, to make it a series, to at least extend it. I was talking myself into 6 games. In a best-case scenario, maybe we get to go the full 7. But here's the one small, teensy, tiny problem with that. The Celtics are undeniably great. The Celtics are an undeniably great basketball team. So great that they can just stop playing defense for 8 minutes in the fourth quarter of an NBA Finals game and still find a way to win said game. That is a game that I believe the Celtics would have lost last year. It is a testament to how they are different this season. And this season, it was them. It was always them. And we should have known it. We should have known it from them going 64-18 in the regular season. And some of us were hanging on to old concerns, old issues that the Celtics have now grown out of. You got to see it to believe it. I've now seen them go 15-2 this postseason. I've seen them go 7-0 on the road this postseason. I've seen Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown settle into being co-best players of this team. They added the right coach. They have made all the right moves. They somehow hypnotized the Bucks into giving them Drew Holiday because that is the only way to explain it. Porzingis, even with him out now, who do you have step up? Xavier Tillman Sr., former Memphis Grizzlies Xavier Tillman Sr., who had a 3 in an NBA Finals game last night, an actual 3. He genuinely contributed to the Celtics winning, and that is what speaks precisely to the Celtics team as they celebrate the X gonna give it to you 3. Every member of this team has a role, knows their role, performs their role. There is no drama. Some people think that equates to no fun. I just think it equates to a team that's going to win a championship, and they're up 3-0. It feels like a no-brainer.
Yeah, that's how champions. That's
how it works.
That's champions.
Yep.
So most of the time, the champions are boring. Most of the time, they aren't fun. They are about business. You brought up Xavier Tillman. One of the things, you remember when he got up to Boston, there was a clip circulating. He's like, oh, yeah, it's different up here.
Mm-hmm.
They come into the locker room before a game and, like, nobody's saying anything. Nobody's cracking jokes. There's no music being played. They're about business. Whereas when I was playing in Memphis, we were having fun in the locker room. It was fun to go out there and play. This isn't that. They're very business-minded. And eventually, like, you get, especially if you're the team constantly knocking on the door, if you're the player constantly knocking on the door, that fun stops after a while. Yeah. LeBron James, remember how they had the choreographed handshake pregame stuff going on? They were knocking each other down like with bowling balls and all this other type of stuff. All of that stopped after a while. LeBron's like, no, I need to be more serious. I need to do something to be more focused. I don't know what it is, but it can't be this. Can't be having fun like this. And then, like, he changed it up a little bit, and they ended up winning. It's not that simple. It's not that simple. You can have fun and be great, but you have to be great first, and then you can worry about having the fun. Too many times we're trying to do both in sports, where we're trying to have fun and be great, or have, God forbid, this is an issue with a lot of teams, cough, cough, Jordan Poole, Washington Wizards, trying to have fun and then worry about being great later, right?
I don't think there's anything fun with that. And Jordan Poole was an integral part of the Warriors winning that last championship.
The Warriors,
number one reason. Poole, Wiggins
was
big reason.
Well, Wiggins was more than Poole.
More
but
than Poole.
Whatever. He can have fun on the Warriors
because
the Warriors have won.
Yes.
Right? Like, again, the winning
the
winning
Wizards
has
are
to
in
come
the anti-fun zone. Yes.
You can't be trying to have fun and your team is doing what the Wizards are doing. Right?
No.
There's a difference in that. And so if I'm a Grizzlies fan and if I'm a Grizzlies player, more importantly, I'm like, oh, hey, X, tell me about how they do things up there because I want to do that here.
It's the growth and the maturity factor of it. And listen, like, Xavier Tillman Sr. has always been a capital P professional. He has always been show up, do your work, go home. He's been a man who both looks beyond his years, acts beyond his years from decisions he made, like going back to the G League and playing with the hustle so that he could improve upon himself, to having his number called last year in the playoffs when the Grizzlies played the Lakers and he had to guard LeBron. Joe Mazzulla last night said the reason that he went with Xavier Tillman, who played 11 minutes, and it wasn't just the 3. He had a couple big blocks. He had a couple big boards. He played some excellent defense on Luka Doncic, and that's why Mazzulla rolled with him. Like, Xavier Tillman is well familiar with the West. He played in the West with the Grizzlies, and it was a matchup and an opponent where Mazzulla felt, okay, we don't have Kristaps Porzingis. Who are we going to go with? It's going to be X. And that's all Xavier Tillman Sr. has ever done, is just stepped into positions where his number has been called and said, all right, I got you. And when he hit that 3 last night, I audibly yelped. Like, I was just so happy for him, and it was such a full circle moment of the season, because I can remember sitting in FedEx Forum at the beginning of the season, and Xavier Tillman Sr. is inexplicably taking more 3s than we've ever seen Xavier Tillman take as the Grizzlies go full let it fly mode, and X was a part of that. And I heard groans, and I heard no's, and I heard, if I see Xavier Tillman Sr. take another 3, and then for him to be able to go take a 3 with confidence, it all goes back to that. Everything lines up. Right? Like, if he doesn't take all those 3s, who knows if when he sees Kleba down on the block, he has the same decision in that moment where I'm going to take this, I know I can make it, I'm going to be able to talk a little smack back, and he ends up having a wonderful moment. The team's response to him making that 3 was so sweet, and if that is our Memphis connection to the NBA Finals, Other Jacob texted us last night, maybe he'll put back to the grind on the ring, a little B2DG, B2TG, back to the grind.
You can go with the D. You can go back to
the grind.
The grind.
It makes it a little cooler.
Oh, does it? Does
I mean,
make it cooler
every time
too?
we walk in the building for work, we see a sign that says back to the grind. And I'm like, here we go.
I never read the signs coming in.
It's just right on the wall.
Yeah, Xavier Tillman played
cool.
well.
He's not the reason they won, but
he's not the reason they lost, which is just important.
That's the part.
He's not the reason they lost. And if you're the Mavericks, you got to be looking at Xavier Tillman. Who's the other one? You got to be looking at Hauser and Pritchard and say, hey, if one of these dudes is on one of our guys, we've got to win that. And too many times last night, they outright lost those matchups in incredible fashion. I can't tell you how many times Pritchard or Hauser was outmanned down there trying to get a rebound. It's 1-on-3, and they still come away with the ball. Hauser had a really good game as well. Pritchard played well also. You can't lose games. You can lose games to Tatum and Brown. Fine. You have to punish the other ones, though. Right. And I'm not saying maybe you can't punish Al Horford. He's too wily of a vet, right? Maybe you can't punish Drew Holiday. He's been there, done that. Maybe you can't punish ball-headed assassin. What's my man's name? Derek White. Because he's ball-headed and he's an assassin now. But you can certainly punish Xavier Tillman, Peyton Pritchard, and Hauser. You certainly can punish those three. And too often they let the Celtics off the hook with bad shots and just straight-up bailouts on the offensive side of the ball when one of those three players are on them. I will say that Xavier Tillman, this is the last thing I'll say about X, he's not somebody who you say, yep, I want him in this game right this second. Yeah. I need him right now. You don't want him over Horford. You don't want him over Porzingis. You don't want him over anybody probably. I can't think of a starting big who I want Xavier Tillman over. But injuries happen, and when you're like, well, hell, we got to put somebody in the game, no better player to just say, all right, X, you're up, because you know what he's going to do. X is simply going to give it to you. Just that simple, forever. 11, 12 minutes, he's not going to cost you anything.
I wish that we had an audio file where you could just press Pete Pranica going, X going to give it to you anytime. So if we could add that to our list of audio files.
Jacob, get on that.
Hopes and dreams, that would be excellent. Watching, Jacob said, what? Just give him more work. Watching that game last night, did you believe when the Mavs went on the 22-2 run, did you think that they were going to come back and win this game?
No.
Me neither.
But I wasn't sure. You're talking like there's not a reason for folks to be skeptical. Hold on, I got to make this move.
It's changed.
Skeptical of the Celtics.
But that's what I realized last night.
It has changed only because they're winning right now.
Correct.
They're
but
still
recency bias is a hell of a drug. And watching last night, I never fully believed that the Mavs could cap it off. And it was funny.
Real quick.
Yeah.
On that run, that's Missoula's fault. That's terrible coaching.
Well, it's also Jason Kidd's fault for calling a timeout. That's terrible coaching.
Well,
so you had terrible coaching on both sides.
You can't say, we're up 21. What are we going to do? We're going to take the air completely out of the ball. And then back-to-back possessions, I look up with 4 seconds left, and Peyton Pritchard has the ball in his hands. What do you expect to happen with that? You allow them to go on the run. You allow them to get confidence. You allow them to cut into the lead. It's still 10 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Continue to play. I hate when teams do that. I hate when they go prevent mode. In football, I hate when they try and take the air out of the ball. In basketball, you're up 20. Keep playing your game. Why are you trying to stop 10 minutes into the fourth quarter?
Which is so funny because Missoula talked about in his post-game press conference that he's been splicing UFC fight footage into game film sessions to try to prove the point of just when you think that you're going to win a fight is usually when you get sucker punched and you lose. And he put up the example of some fight where someone gets kicked in the nuts and is complaining to the refs. And then in the next round, he gets choked out and loses. And that could have happened to the Celtics last night. It doesn't. One of the reasons why it doesn't, and we have to talk about the Luka of it all, is because Luka Doncic inexplicably allowed himself to foul out of the game.
2 terrible
with
fouls.
4 minutes left in the game. The 2 worst fouls for him, though, were fouls 3 and 4. 4 was the hand check on Peyton Pritchard, which just had absolutely no reason to happen. The other one was a backcourt foul on Derek White. Why are you fouling a Celtics player in the backcourt at that point in the game? It makes no sense whatsoever. But then Luka just continues to get frustrated. And it's so crystal clear that the Mavericks are in the NBA Finals because of Luka Doncic. But it is also crystal clear that they lost last night's game because of Luka Doncic. And Brian Windhorst sent that man into the ether with his post-game report to Scott Van Pelt on SportsCenter last night and pointed out that the first thing that Luka did when he falls down after picking up his 6th foul is he turns to the bench and he says, you better effing challenge that. And it's this default of blame off of anyone but himself, that I hope Luka goes into this offseason and we look back at this series for Luka Doncic, and just like teams can learn that you can't have fun before you can win a championship, I hope Luka learns that you don't have to complain all the time and you have to play defense. You can't be this big of a defensive liability. He has gone full traffic cone mode back again. I know so much of the conversation was the Mavs defense got significantly better post All-Star break because of elevation of Luka and Kyrie defensively, but the playoffs are here to expose everything, and I know Luka's so hurt. And listen, when I have like a small boo-boo on my thumb, I become a crankier version of myself, and Luka's already a giant crank, and so I think he doesn't feel very well. I think he's uncomfortable between his ribs and his knees, but he was back in the mode where every single call was an grievance to him, and he made sure they knew it. And by the time he picks up his sixth, there was no reason for them not to call the foul, which was a foul. And you can argue, like, do they call it in that moment? It was a foul, but he shouldn't have been in the position where he was going to pick up a sixth foul trying to take a charge in that moment, which was clearly a block.
What do you mean? That's not a conversation.
Some people...
That can't be a conversation,
well, the conversation
when two
is with
bodies
the
hit
NBA.
the floor.
Okay, but with the product of the NBA, and if you want your best players on the court...
Oh, here we go with
and if
that
you
nonsense.
want to have... I'm just saying.
We don't care. They have to compete. They have to be good enough.
Some people
They have to be good enough. This is the Caitlin Clark conversation all over again. Stop protecting the stars. Stop coddling them. Stop it. He made bad plays.
They didn't do it. That's fine.
Good. They didn't. Good. But you out there who complaining about it, stop it. Stop it. If he's so damn good, he should be good enough to know better. This is the Karl Anthony Towns foul again. What? You have to play the game, and everybody has to play by the same rules. From quarterbacks to stars in the NBA.
From the first quarter to the fourth quarter.
We can't coddle them. The collision happened. Jaylen Brown forced the issue. He hit the ground. Luka hit the ground. Luka was still moving. That is a foul 10 times out of 10.
Period.
Not a foul. Not only is it a foul in the first quarter with 10 minutes left.
It's a foul when you're the star player and you have 5 with 4 minutes left and you've come back into the game.
It's a foul. We can't go out there and have different rules for Luka, Kyrie, Tatum, and Brown, and then everybody else is playing by a completely different set of rules. No, it's a foul. I didn't know that was a conversation that was popping off.
It was that one, and then also was it PJ Washington with the moving screen that they called?
Listen, that's not a moving screen.
Yeah.
And
that's one where, like, especially right there, that's what you're going to call.
But they will call that foul in the first quarter also.
Sure.
Again, first quarter, fourth quarter, that shouldn't be a foul. Just because I screen somebody and he crumbles to the ground or she crumbles to the ground, because we've seen that in the women's game, most notably in the women's tournament against UConn. Who was UConn playing? UConn versus somebody.
Was it the UConn-Iowa game.
UConn-Iowa. I knew it was Iowa or South Carolina. I couldn't remember.
Analyzed up the wazoo.
But, they're just there setting a solid screen. Nothing's coming out. Just because I stop moving a split second before the defender gets to me, that shouldn't be a offensive foul, a moving screen. So I'm with the people who are complaining about that, because I saw that, was like, oh, come on, that. But I say that all the time about it. That's not one of those, hey, it's the fourth quarter, you can't make that call. If you're calling in the first quarter, you got to call it.
It was funny. Even Ja tweeted during that moment, the Luka one, wonder what the decision will be. And everybody waited during the review. I wonder what the decision will be. And it was the right decision. It was a foul. But Luka should have never been in that position to begin with. He got out of control last night. It cost him. We will now see what Luka Doncic is built like right now. That's not to say that he can't treat this offseason as a true understanding of what it will take to one day win, what it will take to be MVP caliber. But if the Celtics are able to sweep the Mavs, if the Celtics win in Dallas, I'll be disappointed.
How? Why?
Because Luka needs to channel what Anthony Edwards did to avoid being swept. I know it's delaying the inevitable, but have some pride. Have a little care. Go out there, get one more win in front of your fans. Your fans at the AAC.
No,
Did you see the AAC? The Mavericks were so desperate, they tweeted, AAC, get louder. The American Airlines Center, not the American Athletic
You compared Luka to Edwards.
From last series, they didn't get swept.
The player who he went through to get here.
Sure,
right?
don't get swept.
There's got to be something said about getting here as a young player. Luka's still young.
Still young.
He's still young. Listen, I don't want to make excuses for the dude, but he is still young. And the player you just compared him to, and people are comparing him to,
I'm not comparing. No.
He beat
Stop.
to get here.
I am not comparing him play-wise. I'm saying he
some...
needs, because what did I appreciate from Anthony Edwards in the last series? He came out and at least put together a inspired game where you have two options. You can go 1-2-3 Cancun right now, or Galveston, or wherever island you want to put yourself on, whatever glamour city. And I hope Luka gets to spend an ample amount of time at a beach this season, and then I hope he gets in the gym and comes in with a different kind of energy next year. I hope he gets his beer, the beer that he was denied after the championship. He does have the Olympics, so he has a lot of stuff still lined up ahead, and he needs a break. Like, his body needs a break. The man is falling apart. But if he comes out there and plays completely uninspired in Game 4, I think that's just more a testament of Luka not being completely locked into that mode. He's so good. I'm not saying he's in Anthony Edwards territory. We've already had the conversations. It's Jokic and Luka. They are in a category of their own right now in the NBA. But Luka can't just keep getting by on best offensive player. He has to round out his game, and I would love to see him come back in Game 4 and at least take this thing to 5. Take it back to Boston, put one more in there. He might not have it in him.
Okay.
You don't care?
No.
So if he comes out and just lays a total egg in Game 4, it doesn't change anything for you.
Doesn't change anything at all because James Harden hadn't done this. Joel Embiid hasn't done this. Anthony Edwards hasn't done this. There are great players and really good players who haven't gotten to NBA Finals. So my thought on Luka, lose the finals, get swept in the finals, it's the same thought. He's one of the 3 best basketball players in the world. He's got some things, to your point. Everything else you're saying after that is true. He does have some things he needs to figure out to win it. But the team he's playing against, they were once his age, and they had to figure it out 3 or 4 different times and had various heartbreaks along the way. The NBA, one of the things I enjoy the most about this league and the most about this league's postseason is, listen, it's different. And nobody can tell you about it. Nobody can prepare you for it. You have to go through it. Yeah. LeBron James, he got the Cavs there unexpectedly, got swept by the Spurs. Another one of those great all-time teams, boring as hell, but got swept by them. Got beat so bad by the Spurs, got bounced the next year by the Magic in the conference final. He's like, yo, I got to leave. I got to get to Miami where I can get some help. And that first year in Miami, didn't they lose then too? Yeah. Right? Like, that's how it works. There's a lot of losing along the way to greatness in the NBA, and that's something that I can appreciate.
We got to take a quick break. Teresa Walker joins us on the other side. We'll talk to her about the Titans wrapping up their off-season programs. I will ask her about someone I swore we wouldn't talk about this summer, but he's made the news on the NFL side of things. Teresa Walker after a quick break.
Mike did his favorite black films of all time. Mike, where we at?
If there's one movie I know every single line to, it is Coming to America.
There we go.
It is Coming to America. It can come on any time of any day, and I'm going to stop and watch at least 20 minutes of it.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GVWR.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance, to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard, bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st, and you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
Marge Simpson?
Come on, Bennett. You'd hook up with Marge Simpson?
Yeah. You ever see the ones with her hair, she lets her hair down?
You're attracted to Marge Simpson.
Marge is cute.
Cute?
Legacy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I respect her.
Yeah.
But she ain't Jessica Rabbit.
No, she's not Jessica Rabbit. She's not Jessica Rabbit. No.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app. We have another edition. This will be the third edition of the Debate Club. You guys are going to sell a shoe to Mr. Bennett Doyle, our producer over here.
Oh, yeah.
I saw these.
I've seen these.
I saw these on social media too.
It's the perfect house shoe.
I know, right?
Like, yeah, it's not even a house shoe. I bet you they're really comfortable. You heard of unisex. This is unifoot. Oh, my God.
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Mike did his favorite black films of all time. Mike, where we at?
If there's one movie I know every single line to, it is Coming to America.
There we go.
It is Coming to America. It can come on any time of any day, and I'm going to stop and watch at least 20 minutes of it.
Get all of your HBCU sports and culture news by tuning in to HBCU Huddle with CJ Hurt and Mike Wallace. New episodes drop every Thursday on grindcitymedia.com, YouTube, and Spotify.
Welcome back. It's Thursday. That means it's time to catch up with one of our favorites, Teresa Walker, back with us this week. Teresa, how are you?
I am much better than a week ago, so thank you for letting me stay dark last Thursday. Hey, CJ. There was an ER visit involved, and I'm sorry. It just sometimes you got to take care of yourself. So thank you.
I'm going to have to start introducing you as 5-time Tennessee Sports Writer of the Year as you pick up your 5th award. Obviously, you've been in the game. You've been crushing the game. I wanted to ask you first, and we were talking a little bit during the break, the news that Jerry West passed away yesterday. You have covered the Grizzlies and sports in the state of Tennessee for a long time. What was your reaction, or I guess what is a memory that you have of Jerry West, either from his time in Memphis or just beyond within how much he meant to the NBA?
Well, and this might be tough for the kids to imagine, but, the Memphis Grizzlies are such a part of the landscape in Memphis, in this state. It's hard to remember the time when, I think it was April of 2002, and they hired him as president of basketball ops, and that immediately brought legitimacy and to the NBA in Memphis, okay? Because, Memphis lured, when I was in Memphis finishing up a tournament, it may have been John Calipari's introduction news conference, and I'm told, there's a group of people up in Vancouver trying to bring the Grizzlies to Memphis, and I'm like, what? Yeah. And one of the Allen Iverson signing was the one that made me never say never again, because I've just seen too much happen. But it helped cement the Grizzlies in Memphis. Now, yes, he's the guy who put together the roster. Now, Powell had already been drafted, I think, before they brought in Jerry, but he built the roster that got the first 3 playoff berths. And it's tough to remember at that time, it was an NBA record for the most consecutive playoff games lost, for a franchise to begin a playoff run, but they got to the playoffs. The people that he brought to Memphis, he hired Hubie Brown as the coach, and he was NBA Coach of the Year. And it's like you almost, there's some things that you mentioned, and it's like, wait, that happened? Jerry West, the logo, was the president of basketball operations for the Memphis Grizzlies. And as people were chiming in yesterday, I think there's so much that he did in his career that it almost got overlooked. But it's like, Memphis and the Grizzlies, that 7-year playoff run with the grit and grind core, what's going on now, none of that, I think, is possible if they had not gone out and hired Jerry West to bring legitimacy and to bring that true NBA air to Memphis.
Teresa, couldn't agree with you more. Titans wrapped up their off-season program this week, and we have a question from the chat from Anthony, who would like to know your favorite player and favorite coach on this year's Titans team coming out of that camp.
Ooh, that's a good one. I love Teresa Walker. I love Steve Jackson because I've covered them in previous stints coaching with this team.
Okay.
I covered Steve Jackson, the safeties coach, when he played for the Tennessee Oilers. Okay? I know. Trust me, I've covered every pro team since they came to the state, in the state. But watching Bill Callahan, I asked him Tuesday, the final OTA day that was open, because he designed the sleds that his offensive linemen use. Mm-hmm. And they've got names, Bertha and Olga. And I said, could you put a B and an O on those so we can figure out which one's Bertha, which one's Olga? And he says, no. Sometimes the players know which one is which. Some days Olga works better. Some days Bertha works better. The players know. That's all that matters. But Bill Callahan is just, he's an OG. The man literally was one of the Pro Football Writers Association. I never can remember our acronym, but Pro Football Writers. He was one of the Lifetime Achievement Award winners as an assistant coach in the NFL. He cost me one of my trips to a Super Bowl when the Titans' second AFC Championship game, because his Oakland Raiders and Rich Gannon beat Steve McNair in the Coliseum. And trust me, I was at that game. And so, but and whatever success this team has this year is going to be in large part due to Bill Callahan, because you cannot grow a second-year quarterback like Will Levis is, get Calvin Ridley and Tyler Boyd, whatever you get out of Traylon Burks. Tony Pollard, baby, is now in Nashville. Him and Tyjae Spears getting going at it in that backfield. And by the way, Jabari Small, one of the reasons he wanted to Jabari Small, Jamari Wright, I can never keep those Tennessee running backs straight, but he came to Titans. Why? Because he loved watching Tony Pollard. And he is in Nashville, signed with the Titans as an undrafted because of Pollard.
I didn't know Jabari Small was with the Titans. I covered him at Briarcrest. That's awesome.
See, it's a small world, isn't it? He signed with the Titans as an undrafted out of, from the Tennessee Vols because of Tony Pollard.
That's cool.
Yeah, right? It's a very, very small world. But if they have any success, if this offense does anything, new coach, new offensive system, it's going to be because of what Bill Callahan is doing with that offensive line and doing with J.C. Latham. And I tell you, watching him walk off the field with both hands holding a handful of helmets, he is a massive human being. And CJ, you're going to have to see this man up close and personal, because he is big, but he is lean. He is a physical, and he is driven. He was the last guy off the field Tuesday running on his own. It's one of those things. Detroit lost an OTA because they were working a little bit too much. And J.C. Latham is one of those guys that you almost have to get off the field. I said get in. It's noon, but it's like pretend the lights are going out. Mama's calling you for dinner. Get off the field.
Teresa, what's the rule with that? He can't do it on the practice field, but if he left the practice field and went to like BGA or CPA or one of those private schools and decided to work out in their facility on their field, he could do that though, right? Because I know when I was at NBA, that would happen where Titans players would come through and they couldn't work on the practice field, but they would work out on our field from time to time, our track from time to time.
When coaches are around, that's when you get into that gray area where the NFL, when they check out some of the video teams, send them, and it's like, wait a minute, because you don't want a coach telling a rookie, get your butt out there on the field and go do workouts. So it's part of the CBA protecting players. And so, but he's been out there as much as he possibly can, trying to be in shape. Now, off-season program ended yesterday. They did a team bonding event, and there is.
Just a chest! Just a chest!
Yes!
That just gets me going.
And he is telling other linemen now how to just make that sled yours and control it and own it. And that's the thing. It's a different sled. Bill Callahan helped push that. CJ's ready to go run through a wall.
He's ready.
but to watch, and that's the thing. The Titans have brought every coaching staff brings in new gear, right?
Right.
Those sleds are different. There's some other gear out there that's different. But I asked a couple of the offensive linemen, what is different? How different is that sled? And they said it's very different, and it really does better mimic what offensive linemen have to do. And that, not using your hands, that keeps you from getting those hands on the backside, which gets those flags thrown, baby. So if you can work that sled with just your chest,
there you go.
Ooh.
Throw that back up one more time.
One more time
just
for
one
CJ.
more for me.
One more
Just
time.
for me, Jacob, please. I need to see. Look at the form. He's perfect form, and he just puts a big chest on it and just starts moving it. Look at how thick the legs
CJ.
are. The glutes. You see the way those glutes are popping? My God, the calf.
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2,
just,
1, 2.
Oh, just Megan Thee Stallion glutes. The calves are huge.
Before CJ further objectifies this wonderful young man, I did want to ask you, I made a declaration on the show a couple weeks ago that I would not be discussing the quarterback of the New York Jets for the rest of the offseason until we got to preseason mode. I should have known better that Aaron Rodgers would do something that becomes one of the biggest stories in the NFL during this period. And obviously, it's the offseason. What are we really considering the biggest story? But I wanted to ask you just how big of a deal it is that Aaron Rodgers did not show up to the Jets camp. He is the only quarterback that I know of who did not show up for camp. It was dubbed an unexcused absence. Apparently, he is traveling overseas and attending something that is very important to him. We do not know what that is. But what do you make of Aaron Rodgers not being there for the Jets during this time?
The one thing in the offseason program that is mandatory is the 3-day minicamp. Players get that schedule fairly quickly, okay? You know, they didn't have a coaching change in New York with the Jets like they did with the Titans, okay? So maybe you get that email in February, March, but you know the dates that you have to be at work. This is the only portion of the offseason program that is mandatory, okay? Titans did their offseason minicamp last week. It's something called communication, and Aaron Rodgers seems to struggle with either reading a calendar, realizing, oops, I planned something else for that week. Talk to your coach, explain things, and maybe rework your personal schedule so that the thing you're being paid to do. Now, granted, your paychecks come during the regular season, right? But you know, you're being paid. You're the leader. You're the quarterback. You're the starting quarterback who played all of 4 snaps last season. So you're coming back off an injury. You're 40, you're a man, read a calendar, be there. So, yeah, I'm a little bit in that camp with you there, Jess. It's like, I don't want to talk about Aaron Rodgers. And at this point, he's who the Titans host week 2 in their home season opener. And I'm ready to go put odds down that he is not available in that game based on the fact of what I've seen so far this offseason.
We'll see how much longer we can go without talking about him. We're going to find out where he was, and then that's going to be a story. I saw some wonder if he was at the Taylor Swift concert. Some wonder if he's in a darkness retreat. Some wonder, it could go on and on and on. We move on. I did want to get your take on one more thing while you're here, because when you go to Paris, what number Olympics will that be for you, Teresa?
7
Olympics. That is the same number of gold medals that the Team USA women's basketball team has won along the way. 7 straight, I should say. I wanted to know your thoughts on the conversation around Caitlin Clark not making the Team USA roster. This turned into one of the worst discourses in sports this week. But where do you stand on Caitlin Clark not being on that team, not being named one of the 12 best players in the United States right now, or at least the 12 players most equipped to continue on the tradition of winning nothing but golds?
Well, I remember when Candace Parker, this will be my 3rd straight games in the summer covering women's basketball. So I remember the furor in 2016 when Candace Parker was left off of the roster, okay? And in Knoxville, it's all Gino didn't want her on the team. And in 2021 in Japan, it was Nneka. And she, a proven WNBA player was left off the team. Tell me who on that roster of 12 that you are going to take off for Caitlin Clark. And I think CC might actually enjoy having a break because she's been going nonstop since last fall for Iowa, and she has yet to be in a U.S. camp. I covered I covered their game in Knoxville in November. Trying to say Knoxville in November. Boy, why is that so hard? And yes, I am not a DT fan because I went to the University of Tennessee. But when you watch her play and watch her in a very short segment in that November game, knock down 3 after 3 after 3, the woman turned 42 on Tuesday. She's going for history with her 6th straight gold medal. I'm not taking her off. Her numbers are almost identical to Cece's, but you know what? She has been with this team. She has been in camp. Cheryl Reeves knows what she can do to her. DT knows how to settle into whatever role is asked of her. And I mean, come on. I mean, yes, it's great that Cece's bringing all these eyes to the W. Cameron Brink, Rakia Jackson, a few of these other rookies have a thing to say about that as well. The women's game has been growing exponentially over the last decade plus. And all you CC fans, tune back in after the Olympic break. But guess what? If you watch those games, women's gold medal game is on the final day of the Olympics. Tune in, watch. It's going to be amazing. And they're going for history.
Speaking of those rookies, Angel Reese had a 20-point, 10-rebound double-double last night, too. So everyone continues
She's
moving.
not on there either. Yes.
And I'm with you, Teresa. I've tried to explain on the Diana Taurasi side of it, every team could use someone like a DT who, if things do start to go off the rails, who's going to get their booties back in shape better than Diana Taurasi? Because they'll be afraid that she will literally kill them. Like, that's how she operates. She's one of the biggest hard A's in the game, and there's tremendous value in that. Obviously, the experience plays a role. Other people have pointed out the Chelsea Gray injury with it. Chelsea Gray has made it known, like, she's targeting an Olympic comeback. And how do you leave off Chelsea Gray, who is an Olympic gold medalist herself, somebody who is a former finals MVP and had a better statistical season last season than the season where she was finals MVP? I just think it's a tough argument to make. I'm with you. Caitlin Clark deserves a massive sleepy time. Let the girl rest. Let her take a break. Let her get her body back in check. And also, I just can't imagine what it's like being under the microscope in that way. And I hope that she's able to take care of herself during that time, like truly.
Exactly. And guess who has a better snubbed argument?
Arike.
Number one, Arike, because she's the second leading scorer in the W. Right. Okay, why has it got it? Yeah, I mean, NECA in 21 with Japan didn't make that roster. I mean, you can't make everybody happy. But CC has got all these new fans. Well, guess what? This game's been going on since 1997 with the W. Get on board, catch up. Go Google, kids. Find out what this game's done.
Google, kids.
They don't want to. The more we talk about this, it's apparent they don't want to. They just want to yell at people for being woke. Like that's all this is. The people who I've heard make these complaints aren't watching women's basketball. They aren't watching Caitlin Clark. They aren't watching Aja Wilson. They're not watching Breonna Stewart. They're not watching any women's basketball, but they know Caitlin Clark, and that's all they know. And they look at Caitlin Clark like, oh, Caitlin Clark represents, whether she wants to or not. Taylor Swift had this issue, whether she wanted to or not. She represents something really, really odd to these people. And so, boom, they just want to hop in and argue with you, being super uninformed about everything that goes into it. There's no saving these people. You just got to let them shout into a void or something like that.
Amen, CJ, because that's the thing. When you can't name even 3 other W players, go away. And to get back to that DT being a hard A, she's got that Kobe mentality. She's MJ, okay? If they need a moment, and they are chasing history, okay? This team is 70-3. They're going for a 7th, 8th straight. I've lost track, but they are looking to maintain the level of basketball that is expected from the American women, and she will get in anyone's face because she is cold. And all I want is for them to figure out how to do Sue Bird, DT, Manning casts for everything once the W season's over, okay? Give me that in the veins. I'm past Eli and Peyton. Give me those two talking about everything on a separate channel.
Teresa, you're the best. Consensual heart hands all around. Oh, one more JC Latham for the road.
Look at that truck. Look at that dump truck right there. Just the chest.
There's a child in the studio, CJ.
Oh,
That child is going to grow up and be a man one day.
Please
and he needs to know what a
cover his
man looks
eyes.
like. And a man looks like that right there. Thank you, Teresa.
Thanks, Teresa. Bye.
Love you guys. And there we go. I love you guys. Have
Love
a
you.
great one.
You too. I will say I did see this stat, and I just wanted to put it out because a lot of those people aren't watching women's basketball, period. WNBA attendance is 105% higher when Caitlin Clark plays. So, like, Monica McNutt used this reference when she was on Jon Stewart. Two things can be true. Like, the W exists, and there's all of this greatness that needs to be enjoyed, and someone needs to open up the door and, like, walk right in and become a true fan of the league. But also, like, there are so many eyeballs on Caitlin Clark right now and people who are actively seeking out her game specifically. And I hope that we can continue to move forward in a more productive conversation that just makes for better women's basketball. All right, we got to take a break because Summer Movie Series starts. We are talking about The Sandlot. I am ready to declare it the best sports movie of all time. Spoiler alert, Bennett Doyle is going to join us after a quick break. We'll talk about our rewatch of The Sandlot. We'll also let you know what our next Summer Movie Series options are. You can vote on them. We will be doing this each and every Thursday of the rest of the summer. And with the NBA Finals wrapping up what looks to be a little early, it's a good thing we have them. So we'll be back with Bennett, The Sandlot talk after a quick break.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance, to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard, bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
We have another edition. This will be the third edition of the Debate Club. You guys are going to sell a shoe to Mr. Bennett Doyle, our producer over here.
Oh, yeah.
I saw these.
I've seen these.
I saw these on social media too.
It's the perfect house shoe.
I know, right?
Like, yeah, it's not even a house shoe. I bet you they're really comfortable. You know, you heard of unisex. This is unifoot. Oh my God.
The Sneak Fest Show, live Tuesdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Marge Simpson?
Come on, Bennett. You'd hook up with Marge Simpson?
Yeah. You ever see the ones with her hair, when she lets her hair down?
You're attracted to Marge Simpson.
Marge is cute.
Cute?
Legacy.
I mean, yeah. I mean, you know, I respect her.
Yeah.
But she ain't Jessica Rabbit.
No, she's not Jessica Rabbit. She's not Jessica Rabbit. No.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
When it's all on the line, you turn to the strong, the stable, the unwavering. To those with a history of raising their performance, to meet the moment. It's true in basketball. It's true in banking. Grizzlies Checking from Pinnacle. Play hard, bank easy. Open a Grizzlies checking account with at least $100 and a recurring direct deposit by August 31st. And you could receive a $200 direct deposit bonus into your account. Details at grizzliesbanking.com. Member FDIC.
The Grizz Girls are no ordinary dance team. They're known across the NBA for setting the standard for world-class dance and entertainment. From hip-hop to jazz, the Grizz Girls do it all. And they're looking for talented dancers with dynamic personalities to join the team. Do you have what it takes to join a premier NBA dance team and entertain Grizz Nation both on the court and in the community? Visit grizzlies.com/auditions now for more information and show us what you've got at open auditions Saturday, July 13th.
Let's talk about MVPs.
Let's do it. I went with the Joker.
Oh my God, Nikola freaking Jokic.
Every time I watch him play, I'm so impressed.
I'm obsessed with him.
Yep.
Everything he does works. He can pass, he can shoot, he can rebound, he can drive, he can defend. Like, he can do everything.
He can lead the fast break, and he's like 7-1.
IMHO with Lang Whitaker and me, Kelsey Wright Johnson, on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
inaugural JBS Summer Movie Series, and we couldn't do a movie series without bringing in Bennett Doyle, Big Bet Bennett himself, who brought in a physical copy of our first movie, which is The Sandlot.
Okay, this is the 20th anniversary Blu-ray. I believe this came out in 2013.
Okay.
This is a cool Blu-ray too, because look.
Oh, I love a cool Blu-ray.
There's the crew right there. Can we zoom in? Can we get a little zoom action, Jacob? Okay, so we got the crew right here. But this is why it's cool. Look, me and Noah were checking this out the other day. It comes with Sandlot trading cards.
Oh, that's actually super dope.
It comes with Sandlot trading cards.
Okay.
I mean, come on.
Fine, you're really selling physical media to me.
How great is that?
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
So this is a pretty good one to start off, but we'll have to step the game up next week. I don't know how many Blu-rays come with trading cards, so it's pretty cool.
I don't think many. I'm really disappointed because I had planned to go to the grocery store. I was going to get s'mores Pop-Tarts for the occasion that we could eat because I was trying to think how we could do s'mores, and that's a little difficult, but we will just have to sit and look at this physical. You remind me of my book club because I read all of my books on my phone, and one of my friends, Kelly, always makes sure to bring the physical copy of the book to book club to like really just make sure we remember
Pass
we're
around,
reading, touch the pages of the book, you know. So The Sandlot is our first movie. Our first category was sports movies, and The Sandlot won by an overwhelming amount. I have previously not dubbed The Sandlot the best sports movie of all time. I have been holding on to Remember the Titans for dear life.
Yeah, which is mine.
Okay.
Yep.
Upon watching The Sandlot, I think I have shifted in my opinion. I really think The Sandlot is the best sports movie of all time.
I can't argue with it because it has everything that you want.
CJ can, but go on.
It's got nostalgia. You know, obviously this time of year, summertime, baseball. You know, the kids at the diamond, like it's, you know, getting into trouble. It's got everything that you want. It's like the perfect sports movie. And this was the first time we watched it with me and Noah and our family watched it on Sunday. And it had been a couple years since I've seen it. Dude, I forgot how great this movie is. It is possibly the greatest sports movie of all time. I'm with you.
I had not watched it since elementary school. But I had that same revelation upon a rewatch. And it's a movie that makes you nostalgic for a time that you didn't belong to.
Right, exactly.
Like, none of us were around. This is based in 1962 in the suburbs of Los Angeles. None of us were there. But it represents a period of lifetime that all of us know. Childhood, a childhood summer, making friends, learning a sport, getting into a ton of adventures and shenanigans along the way. And so that represents something that like just about everyone can connect to. You're not sold on it being the greatest sports movie, CJ.
I think it's a fantastic movie. I think it's wonderful. I think there are other movies I would put in that tier of greatest sports movie of all time. Certainly Sandlot. Listen, man, I would throw Cool Runnings in there as well.
I love Cool
I would
Runnings.
throw D2, Mighty Ducks in there.
Elite.
Look, Dodgeball is up there for me also. It is a damn fine
High School Musical,
movie.
as we've discussed. Thank you for the respect.
I didn't say that, but
just
rookie
chilling right there
rookie of the year, Angels in the Outfield was one that's high up there for me. But listen, don't want to take anything away from the greatness that is Sandlot. Not only for all of the reasons that you guys said, but I like movies that feel very clear. Like, okay, this is and it all fits. This scene is over, now this scene. And the scene previously fits with this scene, fits with the next scene, but it's a very clear delineation in the scenes, right? It felt like watching it, one of the things that stood out to me, one was, felt like I was watching like 10-minute episodes of a TV show, first off. Second off, so much of my thought and my memory of the Sandlot was centered around the chase for the ball, was centered around that. I forgot all the other shenanigans that popped off during the process. Was talking to Noah. Noah, what's your favorite part? And his favorite part was my favorite part as a kid, where it was, lessons learned. Sandlot also teaches you a lot. Learned a very valuable lesson. I don't ever want to chew tobacco. If it's going to make them throw up on the Tilty World, I know it's going to make me throw up. I'll never chew tobacco in my life. And one of the reasons I didn't chew tobacco was because I saw it in the Sandlot, and what a great scene that was.
Bro, that is so true.
Yes.
I literally have never chewed tobacco either because of this movie. That scene.
Yeah, no, it's gonna make me throw up.
I'm sure not going to chew it before I go on a ride at the county fair. And it's so funny with that scene specifically, and we'll walk our way through the movie and reflect on some of the things that we absolutely forgot about this movie. But that scene where they're on it's not like a tilt-a-whirl, but it's a spinning ride after chewing tobacco, and they all puke, and there's just vomit everywhere. And they play the song Tequila. And I'm pretty sure that's the first time I would have ever heard the song Tequila, which becomes such, I mean, you hear it at sporting events, you hear it around, and you can't help but be like transported back to where you were the first time you saw The Sandlot. I was in elementary school. One of my best friends growing up, Katie Hone, her big brother Charlie, always introduced us to the things that we needed to know. And this movie came out in 1993, so by the time I'm watching it, maybe it's like 97, 98, but he was like, this movie is legendary. And it became my friend Katie's entire personality for a significant period of time. She called me Smalls. It's how we lived. But just to think about like songs that were introduced in that way, even go back to The Sandlot.
So, before we get into the weeds, I don't want to get too into the weeds on it, but before we get into the actual movie, okay, let's get into the weeds. Fine, whatever. All
okay,
right.
so let's start it. So this movie came out in 1993.
Yep, the director David Mickey Evans. This is crazy. Okay, so we all agree this is a classic movie.
And it's really the only big thing he ever did.
Yeah, I think the next movie he did was First
Kid and
with Sinbad,
Ed.
and that was it.
First Kid was a great
so
movie.
Good, so underrated. We're gonna find a way to get that one on this show.
Okay, but did you ever see Ed, the movie with the chimpanzee and Matt LeBlanc? Yeah, that was his other movie.
Yeah, I mean, what? That's so
weird. And then he
weird.
weirdly did National Lampoon Barely Legal.
It took a
weird turn.
Yeah, I mean, to do one of the greatest sports movies of all time, this nostalgic movie that everybody loves, and then just not have much after that's kind of weird. You rarely see that.
It was a strange thing to look at the cast of this. Like, so many of the kids had their careers didn't take off. It's a stacked adult cast between Dennis Leary, who plays the stepdad, Karen Allen from Indiana Jones.
Shout out.
Karen Allen could have had one of the greatest careers. I think she chose to do theater, and she directs and took herself out of the spotlight. But at one point, I remember she was voted like most beautiful woman in the world in the late 80s.
She was
and she's
awesome.
good in this as the mom. And then of course, James Earl Jones pops out at the end, and you're just like, James Earl Jones is in this movie?
Yep.
It's Mufasa, it's Darth Vader, it's insert legendary role here. He's so close. He should have an EGOT. He doesn't have an EGOT because he only has an honorary Oscar. He had like a Lifetime Achievement Award, but he has Emmy, Grammy, Tony, two Tonys. I think we got to get James Earl Jones an EGOT. Maybe bring the Sandlot back. He deserves it. Okay, let's walk our way through this movie, which is set in the suburbs of LA. It is the story of Scott Smalls, who moves to a new town, makes friends with a group of kids who just play baseball at the Sandlot, and they get into all kinds of shenanigans throughout the summer. You start the movie with the narrator, who you learn is Smalls, and he sets up the story of the greatest summer of his life. And like CJ said, it's really told in like small vignettes before you get to the big conflict down the line where they lose the baseball and have to go find the baseball. But it opens with them moving to this new neighborhood. It uses, if I'd known what was going to happen when I got there, I never would have gone. And you see the Sandlot. And I love the way that they describe the Sandlot in that it is like a baseball kingdom where they never kept score or chose sides.
Yep.
They just kept playing the game. Did you have a Sandlot growing up?
I mean, kind of. Like, we had a park that had a baseball diamond, but not like that. Nothing like that. I mean, that felt like it was like their own personal, play space. I don't think I really had anything like that. It was more of a shared diamond.
Did you have a Sandlot, CJ?
At my granny's house, there was an empty field. So walking out Jackson, Tennessee, across the Rain Road tracks from Lane College, if you know where Bennett Street is, that's where we're talking about there. So right across the street from Lane, across the railroad tracks, there was a bunch of houses, and there was just a vacant field right there. And that field served as baseball diamond, football field. If we were feeling like imagining a net, we would play volleyball. So yes, that was a field at my granny's house. But I don't know about y'all. We just played in the street.
In the street. That was ours.
We would just everybody get in the street. Here we go, neighborhood kids. We're in the street. We're playing the various sporting events in the street.
Tag or Ghost in the Graveyard, hide and seek, whatever it may be. Basketball.
That's right.
Kickball, like a kickball in the middle of the street we would do at times.
We would throw football in there also.
Everything and anything. But it just takes you back to the summer. You don't have school. You don't have any activities. You're just trying to hang out with your friends. And this kid moves to a new neighborhood. He doesn't have friends. We quickly learn he can't play baseball. No one's ever taught him. His dad is dead. Classic movie trope. But he has a stepdad, Billy, who went to the University of Southern California, which makes sense because he's a giant D-bag in the beginning of this movie. And
what's wrong with him?
He
Why
won't
is he
teach
such a
his kid to
jerk?
play. He
Yeah.
makes him call him dad, and
He
yet he
was
won't
cra-
take an hour to go out and teach little Scott Smalls how to play baseball.
Dennis Leary was cruel in this movie.
He was, but he comes around
He
at
came
the end.
around. He came
Who
around.
taught you guys how to play sports?
My dad.
No, it's
Yes.
not. It's not on me as your father to teach you that.
Well, as a
It's
girl,
on-
it absolutely
Well,
is on your
listen,
father
y'all are different.
or your mother, whichever one
y'all
wants
are
to take
different
that
because,
straight.
Especially coming up when I was a kid, when I think most of us, Bennett, you and I were kids.
Yeah.
Like you didn't want to. Some dudes, some boys had issues playing with girls.
Sure,
right?
if I
got
wanted to
you.
get invited to play with the boys, my
But-
dad better teach me how to throw a baseball, throw a football.
I went outside and it was just, all right, here's a general rule, CJ, from my father. Go outside. The rest of these kids got you from here. I remember, much like Smalls, only not my dad, it was the older kids. I'm like first grade playing catch with middle schoolers, and they were amazed at how hard they could throw the ball at me and I could catch it. And it would just, I would catch it with my body. So it would hit my chest and then I'd catch it. Well, one of them, the football, bounced right off my eye. And so it's swollen, it's
Put a meat
black.
pack on it.
No, I think my dad just said, hey, rub some dirt in it, catch with your hands, not with your face, and sent me back outside.
right.
It was like, lesson learned.
I love the stepdad, and after he puts the meat pack on, he's like, well, at least you caught it. Because as he's finally taking some time to teach little Scott how to play ball, he takes one to the eye. We learn he's not going to learn that way. He's going to do it the CJ way, just learn with friends. And thankfully, Benny comes to the rescue as the guy who adopts Scott for the summer.
And every neighborhood,
Had a Benny.
I moved neighborhoods quite a bit. We didn't own a house. We'd rent for a year or two and then move to another house once the deal was done or whatever. And every neighborhood I stepped in had a Benny, had the one that kept all of the other kids in line and was the kind one. It reminded me of, what's my man's name from Lord of the Flies? Ralph? Is Ralph the good one?
No.
Ralph is the bad one. So Piggy, who was Piggy's
Ralph
friend? Because it reminded me of the good one in Lord of the Flies, where it was, hey, everybody, be nice to this kid. Yes, he's not as good as we are.
Ralph's the protagonist. I'm sorry. Jack is the bad one.
Jack is the aggressive one.
Yes.
So it reminded me of Ralph in Lord of the Flies.
Yes.
And there's no what was the bad guy's name? Jack. There's no Jack in that group. Like
No.
they all start off kind of leery of him, and then they all eventually come around because
He catches the ball.
Benny says, hey, be nice to this kid. And God bless Benny. What an athlete. How do you hit a ball directly into somebody's glove in right field?
Amazing.
So before we get to him finally having the chance to have the ball hit directly to him in left center is where they stick Scott Smalls. Benny shows up and is like, come play with us. I have an extra glove. Benny, I had the biggest crush on Benny when I was a kid. I thought he had the most beautiful eyelashes, the rolled cuff jeans, the chuck, like everything about Benny was perfection. He brings Scott to the group hanging outside the pharmacy, and they don't want anything to do with him. And this is where we start getting some of the classic lines, because he walks up and Ham is imitating the great Bambino, Babe Ruth, and he's got the cigar in his mouth and he's going about with the great Bambino, and Smalls goes, who? And the kids go, were you born in a barn? Which is a phrase that we absolutely have to make sure doesn't like crumble with time. Like we must keep, no one's born in a barn these days, but it's a good phrase that I think I probably learned from The Sandlot. And they go, the Sultan of SWAT, the Titan of Terror, the Colossus of Clout, the Colossus of Clout. And that's where you begin to see Smalls try to adapt and be friends with these guys. He's like, oh, I thought you meant the great Bambi, the wimpy deer. He finally gets the chance to go out to the field. He stinks. They call him an L7 weenie. He's a geek. He's a dork.
He's got the big bass fishing
The
hat with
bass
like the long
fishing hat.
bill on it. I love that.
I just love the like easiness of just calling him an L7 weenie. Like what a appropriate diss for a kid.
Yeah.
And then as CJ said, Benny sets him up for success. He's like, you got to stop thinking so hard. You got to just have fun. Hits one right into his glove. He catches it. He's cool. Like, how simple is that? The kid is now cool. He's part of the group. No looking back.
Yeah, as somebody, I love that moment in the movie. As somebody who was like never a great athlete, to see him have his little moment and the kids kind of be like, "Oh, Smalls, you're part of this." That's a great moment in the movie.
We have the teasing of the beast. Like they treat the beast kind of like Jaws. You never see it.
Yep.
It is a monster that growls and shakes the fence.
Yep.
So you know something exists beyond the fence. You just don't know exactly what it is. And Smalls goes home. He writes down on a piece of paper, baseball stuff to remember, the great Bambino, which is important to the rest of the movie as it continues to go onward. We kind of then go into the next vignette of sorts, and we see Ham does the iconic call your shot, Babe Ruth 1932 moment, hits a home run over the fence. Smalls is running to get it, and they're like, no, you can't go. It's gone. It's history. Kiss it goodbye. And you start to learn a little bit about the beast. They decide to have a camp out, and it shifts into a sleepover. And so you get the classic sleepover scene with a bunch of kids. He's offered a s'more. He has never heard of a s'more. CJ, I know you told me you had never heard of a s'more before the Sandlot.
That's how I learned about the s'more. And if we're going with memorable lines, outside of the one that You're Killing Me Small, right? Like that's the most memorable one.
Well, this is when you get You're Killing Me Smalls for the first time.
You want s'more?
Mm-hmm.
S'more what? I don't understand. How can I have s'more something if I hadn't had any to begin with? No, a s'more. And the exasperation with which my man is explaining to him what a s'more is, it's just like, how do you not?
You take the graham, you stick the chocolate on the graham, you take the mallow.
Benny said be nice to your kid, so I'm gonna be nice to you. But Benny didn't say it. Like, I'd kick you out this treehouse. It was a great moment.
They get their s'mores, and then you get the full legend of the Beast and Mr. Myrtle, who lives next door, and this killer pup that killed, my favorite part, they're like, killed 120. No, 173. Like, what a difference. And it just, those legends of lore that you learn as a kid that you're so scared of. I was so scared of Bloody Mary in the mirror. I had older guy friends who would tell me if I went and did Bloody Mary, she'd pop up and she would jump out of the mirror and stab me. So we could never do that. But that's how the Beast is for them. Ate a kid once. One kid has tried to go in there. He got eaten. The dog has been chained up forever. And more than 150 baseballs have gone, never to be seen again.
Forever. That's how we used to say forever.
Are we are we doing our favorite lines from the
movie? We go, yeah, sure.
Just
that's yours. This is forever.
That's the one that I remembered the most. Like when that happened, I was like, damn, this is like a hit of nostalgia right here.
I love that.
That part. That's my favorite scene in the movie, that treehouse scene. Yeah. It really is. I mean, just like that reminded me so much of being a kid. And the thing that I have the biggest problem with about, I think this is an amazing movie. I love it. Like, it's a classic. The biggest problem I have with it, Hercules, the Beast, not scary.
That's the point.
Not scary once you get to know him.
Yes. Well, yeah, I'm saying like I like wanted to see the, when they do the flash or like the black and white like old footage of the police and the dogs like a big giant. I wanted to meet that version of Hercules. Like I thought the big scary version looked cool.
That's the point, Jessica.
Yeah.
Say it
like
again.
That's the version in their head. Like when you're a kid, you just fantasize and things are so much scarier than they actually are. I told a story this week about there was a snake in my backyard once and I locked the door because I was convinced the snake was going to
come inside.
Same energy from them with this. It's just a dog next door.
Yeah.
And you get. We'll continue on with the Beast, but I do see what you're saying. But I think it's like perfect that it's just this slobbery like. It's just another dog in the end. We get the first scene of Wendy Peppercorn. They're playing There Goes My Baby, if we're talking about the soundtrack.
Soundtrack's amazing.
When they finally get to the Sandlot, someone's like, Squints was perving a dish, which is just a very funny way to say he was looking at Wendy Peppercorn. It ends up being too hot to play baseball. Ham says, I'm basking like a toaster cheese. So they go to scam some pool honeys, which means just go to the pool and look at girls. And we learn here that Benny's built different because Benny just wants to play ball. Like Benny doesn't care that it's 110 degrees. He wants to play baseball, but if he has to do something else, it would be go to the pool, which we learn is the next best thing to having access to a Playboy magazine, which felt very 80s, 90s of them. And you have Ham like walking around doing the kiss before the cannonball where he splashes all of the girls. And then we have another iconic moment where Squints decides that he is going to jump into the deep end of the pool. He's going to fake drown. He is going to be saved by Wendy Peppercorn, who is in the iconic red lifeguard swimsuit. She's oiling, she's lotioning, she's got the whistle, she's got the sunglasses. She has to dive in and save him. She has to give him mouth-to-mouth resuscitation. And Squints looks with the goofiest, gobbliest smile. and then pulls her in for the kiss. And she yells, "You perv!" And he's thrilled. And it is a moment that could be seen as not great, but it's so innocent and so sweet.
I thought about that when watching it.
Me too.
Is it problematic in 2024? Is that what we're going with?
Where I settled on, Bennett, is if you are willing to sacrifice your life, because that's what Squints did. He legit drowned.
Yeah.
He wasn't play drowning. He legit drowned and he did mouth to mouth. If you're willing to take that gamble to steal a kiss, hats off to you.
I agree.
I tip my cap to you. You can get away with it, dog.
And
like, I don't know what to tell you.
Not to jump
That's
ahead,
how
they end up
ridiculous it
getting
is.
married, and that's an incredible how we met
have
story.
nine
and have
kids.
9 kids.
I completely forgot about that.
Me
When
too.
that happened, I was like, oh, yes, I love that.
And
it's
I
a
love
nice
that
touch.
they say, like, every time you walked by the pool after that, she always smiled and waved. And so that's how their relationship started. Then it's like the 4th of July, and I have these moments where I feel excessively patriotic, and watching the Sandlot depict 4th of July and all these kids playing baseball with the fireworks in the background, it put me in a red, white, and blue kind of place.
Yes, I put that in my notes. Like that moment when the fireworks are going off and they're all in the street is like one of the coolest looking moments in a movie. It definitely makes you want to go to like a fireworks show, 4th of July, eat a hot dog. Yeah.
We bought like glow in the dark balls because of that. We wanted to play ball at night. The illuminated football was one that came out not too long after that. We wanted to play night games, so we had glow in the dark bats, balls. We had the light up footballs, and it was in part because that scene, to your point, Bennett, it looked so cool to be out there at night just playing a night game like the pros do it.
This is when I texted you guys being like, nostalgia is like kicking me in the face right now. And also when baseball felt cool, like I'm looking at it transitions into day baseball, and it's the dust kicking up and just the kids out there, and I'm like, man, do I want to go play baseball? What a weird thought that I haven't had in ages. And it shifts to they have a pickle, and then all of a sudden Squints goes, oh no, because there's like a full team. They're in uniforms, they clearly play the game, and they want to take over the field. And we get into great trash talk, which is so perfectly done. I wrote out what I thought I could get. So it starts with shut up, idiot, moron, scab eater, puss licker, fart smeller. You make your Wheaties with your mama's toe jam, which is iconic.
You kiss your sister.
You kiss your sister.
And you like it. It's the way he pauses
you
after
bob
saying
for
it.
apples in the toilet, and you like it. And then my least favorite line, of course. You play ball like a girl, but it shuts everyone up because that is the worst thing. That's how we learn. That's what we internalize from the movie is the worst thing in the world is you play ball like a girl. But those are fighting words, and so they challenge each other to a game the next day where Ham continues the trash talk. He's my favorite character in the entire movie. And this little scene, both the day before and the game after, where he says, if my dog was as ugly as you, I'd shave his butt and tell him to walk backwards. Like the lines just go one after one, and then he has another home run, and then like all the bats are cracking, and again, the nostalgia is just hitting me everywhere, and it's so fun to see. And they beat the crap out of them. They go celebrate at the fair. We've already talked about the chewing tobacco moment. That's where you get the other "you're killing me" Smalls, because of course Smalls doesn't know what chewing tobacco is. And then finally we get to the real plot driver. So we have to take a break. We will come back.
Okay.
We will get to the latter half of the movie. It's like the final 40 minutes where they have a missing ball. They have to find it. The crux of the Sandlot when we come back.
If you look at it, as far as the number 9 pick over the years, there's been some pretty good players that have surfaced at number 9. Of course, Dirk Nowitzki, who won a championship. There's been a lot of great guys, but who knows if there is a great guy in this draft.
Hey, Grizzlies fans, be sure to tune in to Grizbeat, where the panel and I break down all things Grizzlies and take a look at the rest of the NBA as well. The show is live every Wednesday, 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
I think we have the college basketball title futures. UConn's number 1.
I really like Houston. I'd have them winning it all, but you can't be giving Drake jerseys. What is wrong with you?
Maybe the Drake curse is stronger in college basketball.
How long has he been riding with Kentucky?
He wore an Alabama jersey and Saban retired.
The Odds Couple with Rob Fisher, Lang Whitaker, John Roser, and CJ Hurt live Thursdays at 2 p.m. on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
36 and a half vertical?
Watch your
Yeah,
head.
you said it was 44.
You sure I said that?
36 and a half.
36 and a half is big.
36 and a half. I've got bench press here.
18 times.
17.
Okay.
You always have to put a little barbecue
It's
sauce.
all barbecue sauce. Barbecue sauce on the wings.
The Chris Vernon Show, presented by Caesars Sportsbook, live weekdays at noon on YouTube at Grind City Media and the official Grind City Media app.
Now for a limited time, the new $1.99 crispy tender wraps are here at Sonic. Who could deny a crispy chicken tender with bold flavors like hickory barbecue and cheesy Baja? And we can't forget the crisp lettuce and melty cheese to make the perfect bite. Wrap yourself up with some TLC, tender, love, and chicken for only $1.99. Sonic $1.99 crispy tender wraps. Tax not included, limited time only at participating Sonic drive-ins.
LifeCare Ambulance is proud to be an official partner of the Memphis Grizzlies and FedEx Forum. At LifeCare, they wear their hearts with pride. Their passion is their people. They want you to love what you do and where you do it. Their employee-driven culture encourages a healthy work-life balance and supportive work environment. They invest in your success and well-being so that you can provide the best care for the patients that they serve. Join the incredible team of EMTs and paramedics in Memphis, Nashville, and across the nation today. Learn more at lifecareamb.com.
Let's face it, there's a lot of trash talk in basketball, but the great teams let their performance do the talking. Like Ford F-150 with Pro Power on board, a class-exclusive industry-first feature that turns your truck into a mobile generator and leaves the competition speechless. Ford F-150, official truck of the Grizzlies. Greatness starts here at your Mid-South Ford dealer. Class is full-size pickups under 8,500 pounds, GBWR.
Summer Movie Series on the Jessica Benson Show with CJ Hurt, with Bennett Doyle, our bona fide movie expert. Before we continue to talk of the Sandlot, we are announcing our next movie category for next week, which is going to be buddy movies. We have 4 options to choose from. You can vote here in the YouTube poll if you're joining us live, on Twitter at Grind City Media, Grind City Media's Instagram page, and even Facebook Grind City Media stories, even though our wonderful social media leader, Luke, says nobody's on Facebook stories. But if you are, you can vote between Friday, Step Brothers, Dumb and Dumber, and Superbad. Those are your 4 options. That will be one of the movies that we roll through next week. So go out and vote. We collectively take all of the different social media polls together and pick the winner.
Where are we at on the Twitter? Was that Twitter, Jacob?
That was Twitter.
Where are we at on the Twitter?
I think Superbad's leading on Twitter.
Okay.
Last I checked.
Friday's leading on YouTube, Superbad's leading on Twitter, and Superbad's leading on Instagram.
Here we go.
So it's a tight race. It's a tight race. All right, back to The Sandlot, our movie for today, and we have finally gotten to the real movie reset, where it's what you really remember the movie being about, which is funny because it comes an hour into the movie. A little over an hour into the movie is when Scott's dad leaves, or his stepdad leaves, and declares him the man of the house. And he says, you got to take care of everything here. And so naturally, he goes back to the Sandlot with his friends to play ball. And he declares that this is the day I got us in the biggest pickle of all time. And it all starts with Benny hitting the skin right off the ball, which I thought was the coolest thing when I was younger. All of the kids say, bitchin', which I said all the time when I was a kid.
Noah pointed out they do say bad words in this movie.
A lot.
Yeah.
They say,
there are some bad words.
They say
bad
shit
words
like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah.
And it just, there it is.
I didn't know bitchin' was a bad word, so I went around for a good number of days just being like, bitchin'. Bitchin'. They say, it must be an omen, most amazing thing I've ever saw. Scott is sad because the ball is gone. And all the kids are like, that's fine, that's fine. Scott goes, no, I have an answer. I have a ball. And earlier in the movie, we had seen his stepdad had quite the trophy collection, memorabilia collection, and there's a baseball that he had on display. And we weren't exactly sure what made that baseball special, but we realized that it is a baseball signed by Babe Ruth. And so Scott grabs that ball to go play with at the Sandlot. And you've learned from Scott's growth, this is a kid who knew nothing about baseball, And then suddenly he hits his first home run. So everyone's celebrating. They're like, yes. And he's like, oh no, because we know what happens when a ball is a home run. It goes over the fence. It is the beast ball. It goes to the beast graveyard, and you're never going to see that ball again. And so Scott is like, this is a matter, like, I have to go get this ball. And the kids are like, what do you mean? Like, we always just let it go. And he goes, no, you don't understand. It wasn't my ball. And one of the kids goes, this is a matter of life or death. Where did your old man get that ball? And Smalls says, some lady gave it to him, named Ruth, baby Ruth. And the response of the kids going, is perfect.
I thought the best part of that scene and the thing that made that scene work the way that it did is the way it was juxtaposed. It is the yin and yang of it all. The good and the bad and the good. The good is you hit a home run. The bad is you stole a ball that was autographed by some lady named Baby Ruth and you need to go get it, right? I thought that showing both of those things, everybody, and it's him that's sad, right? He's the one who hit the home run. He's the one that made this amazing baseball play. He's the one distraught, and everybody else is celebrating him and his achievements. And then they find out why. Yeah.
And someone says, you're dead as doornails, man. He understands that the ball is worth more than his life, that it is the Sultan of SWAT, the Colossus of Clout, the great Bambino, less than a god, more than a man. And it goes back to Scott Smalls writing on that piece of paper, baseball things to remember, the great Bambino. He now understands Baby Ruth, a.k.a. Babe Ruth, is the great Bambino, and he is terrified because he has lost this ball.
Yeah, so, okay, one of the things that I loved about this, too, is when we talk about nostalgia, like, what year does this take place in?
62.
62. Okay, so as a collector, I love this. So you're not, it kind of goes back to what you said about the dog, Hercules, being bigger than life in their eyes and things like that. And Babe Ruth's obviously bigger than life in their eyes, but you're not that far removed from Babe Ruth, like the legend of Babe Ruth.
Yes.
So people that are watching this, you know, in 2024 or whenever this movie came out, this is the biggest deal ever, right? Like, it's a autographed Babe Ruth ball. I mean, this is going to be one of the most valuable things in sports. Here, it's still valuable, and it's obviously a big deal to these kids, but how valuable is it back then, right? Like, you're not that far removed. It'd be like me losing like a Ja Morant autograph or a Luka Doncic autograph.
No.
Okay,
It would be
me
you losing Michael Jordan's autographed ball. Right, because if that's what we're doing it right now in 2024, well, right now, because Babe Ruth, as great as Babe Ruth was, he was remembered fondly in the 60s because he had just stopped like maybe 20 years beforehand.
That's true.
So it is, if you're doing it from right now, it would be an athlete from when we were kids. One of those legends who, boom, no question about it, this is not just the greatest person in their sport, but this is might be the greatest person playing sports of all time. And that's what we thought about Babe Ruth. Remember when we went to Y2K and ESPN was like, hey, we're going to do the top 100 athletes of all time?
Yeah.
And we did that list, and Babe Ruth found himself second or third on that list.
Yeah.
I think it was Hank Aaron and maybe Michael Jordan ahead of him. Like, that's where Babe Ruth was then. So it would have to be the equivalent, and the only equivalent that we've got for right now is Michael Jordan. It couldn't be even somebody like Tom Brady because that's too recent. Tom Brady a couple years from now, a decade or so from now, could be that athlete. But for right now, it would be like losing a Michael Jordan autographed basketball.
But I think the reason that it works so well is that it's less to do with, obviously the central part of this is it's a baseball movie, and so these kids idolize Babe Ruth. That's their legend. You also lost something of your parents. Like, they left, he put him in charge of the house, and he understands that he has lost something that was really valuable enough to his stepdad that he put it on a fancy little pronged pedestal, and he knows, I'm in deep shit. And it's this guy that he's still trying to form a relationship with because it's not his dad, it's his stepdad. It's his mom's husband who's trying to get him to be dad. So it, like, exists outside of the Babe Ruth piece of it all, because we've all done something that, like, you know you're going to get in trouble. Like, you lost something, you broke something, whatever it may be, and understanding I need to do whatever I can to fix it. So the kids try to fix it. They get another ball, and they sign it just in case they need a backup. And then they start trying to rescue the ball. And this is where you do have to suspend belief a little bit, because they make the beast seem more like a beast, because every like mechanism that they used to try to get the ball, whether it be a stick or a pot or a full robot-like system, or they send the one kid in a flyover and he's like being dropped down Mission Impossible style to get the ball. The Beast basically chews up, spits out all of those things over the fence, and they're like burning and with smoke coming out of them, and they're all absolutely destructed beyond repair, and ultimately they can't get the ball. And it's because the Beast is there keeping them up. And they say, I think we've seriously underestimated the Beast, which is funny because they think the Beast has killed hundreds of people, but yet they still underestimated the Beast in this situation.
Thought one of the things I looked up to was the way they making contraptions look cool. Mm-hmm. Right, the contraption, the robotics of it all.
What's the thing called? An erector set?
Yeah, was something that I was like, I really want to be good at this, and I just didn't have it in me, and my friends didn't either, so we didn't really do a whole lot of building. I looked up that ESPN all 20th century, top 100 athletes of the 20th century in order from 1 to 5. Michael Jordan, Babe Ruth is second. So Babe Ruth is the greatest athlete of the time in our lexicon. Mm-hmm. Then you go Muhammad Ali, Jim Brown, Wayne Gretzky. Babe Ruth is the greatest because Michael Jordan was still playing, and so we hadn't written the verdict out on him. He hadn't back-to-back three-peated yet.
And Babe Ruth has a candy bar, which elevates him into special territory as well.
A great candy bar.
They can't get the ball. I love when he comes out and he's like covered in dust, and it really feels like a war scene, like they've been in this battle and they just cannot get it. And they go to bed that night, and Smalls feels like he's failed his stepdad. He has a dream about a ball signed by Babe Ruth nailing him to the ground, like falling on top of him. Meanwhile, Benny has a dream that they deem more helpful because the great Bambino visits Benny in his dream and gives you the gem of legends never die, kid. And it's the whole notion of everybody gets a chance to do something great, and most people don't because they're too scared or they don't recognize it. There's heroes and there's legends. Heroes get remembered, but legends never die. Follow your heart and you'll never go wrong. And every kid's movie needs a message like that, and for it to come from the ghost of the great Bambino just hits the spot so perfectly in this movie.
I almost cried when he said that. I
did cry. This is the first time I cried, and I hate myself for it.
Don't heroes get remembered, legends never die? That's an incredibly deep line for a children's movie. It's incredible. It is. Hey, sometimes you have to do more than what is asked of you. Sometimes you have to step outside and do more than the sport. Muhammad Ali, just brought him up, did more than the sport. That's why he's legendary.
Yeah.
He's heroic because of what he did in boxing, right? Like one of the greatest boxers of all time. But we've seen a lot of great boxers. We've experienced a lot of great fighters. What we hadn't done is seen somebody take the stance on civil rights issues, take the stance against wars the way Muhammad Ali did, and sacrifice everything. That's legendary. That is the stuff of legend. You can build some of that with the stuff you do on the court, but the stuff you do off of the field, that's what makes you a legend. That's an incredible. Michael Jordan is a great basketball player. We've seen a bunch of those. What makes him legendary though? We all rock Jordans. Right. We all have those shoes. He's his own brand. One of the first athletes to just be his own thing, his completely owned brand. That's what makes him legendary. I get chills just thinking about it. I get the tinglies. What a bar in the Sandlot.
And then I get the tinglies because then Benny, next thing you know, he's putting on the PF Flyers and he is ready to become a legend and jump over the fence and get the ball. His friends try to stop him. They tell him that he's committing suicide. He's like, no. Babe Ruth visited me in a dream. He hit me with this bar. I got to go over the fence and I have to get the ball and I have to come face to face with the Beast, which he does. The Beast barks cinematically. It's done perfectly. Like he steps forward, he adjusts his cap, he cracks his knuckles, rubs the foot in the dirt, makes a run for it, slides to get the ball, runs back to the fence. Dog breaks free, and then we get a very fun and humorous chase scene done to wipe out.
A good movie has a chase scene. And if it's a good monster movie, they make you wait and build up the anticipation of seeing the monster before you see the monster. And this movie does both to perfection in the most child-friendly of ways.
Yes.
Instead of cars being chased after, we're chasing on foot. Instead of a Godzilla or another monster popping out, it's a big-ass dog, right? This movie is incredible.
You have the cake Like anytime there's a cake that can fall and the stakes of you see
The
this like beautiful
slapstick
cake.
humor.
Yes, the slapstick nature of it all. And then like Benny goes over the cake, the dog goes under the cake, the kids go around the cake, and ultimately it's the man on stilts who falls into the cake or falls into the table, which sends the cake upward, and everybody gets covered in cake. They go through the movie theater, Benny's sliding through, the dog goes straight through the movie screen that was playing Wolfman, where they're talking about like he can only be killed with a silver bullet. Only heaven can help you now. And they're running around. Benny is going through everything. One of my favorite, like not classic lines, but a line I forgot was the little boy who goes, Mommy, look, a doggy. Oh, a big doggy. Goes through that. Benny screams for everyone to meet him at the Sandlot. They're all in the lot. The Beast rips his shirt. It's all very melodramatic. Benny flips over the wall, falls on his back, which looked wildly painful, but you're a kid, and it's the remembrance that you can do anything and just bounce right back up. The fence falls on the dog. The dog is nailed. The look on the kids' faces is so good. And then the Beast is whimpering and stuck, and you realize it's just a dog stuck under a fence. And Smalls is like, we've got to save him. Like, he's hurt. And all the other kids are like, no. But Benny, being good dude Benny strikes again, helps Smalls lift the fence. The Beast is free. And then Benny and Smalls come right with the dog. And Smalls is sitting there, and the Beast is there, and he licks his big tongue out and just licks Smalls in the face. And it's just a big slobbery oaf of a dog.
Another lesson learned as a kid, things aren't always as big and bad as they seem.
Yes.
Right? And in that moment, the movie, I think, does a really good job of conveying that point. Hey, this thing that they're scared of, this thing they told you to be scared of, sometimes it needs help also. And what type of person are you going to be? Are you just going to let the whimpering dog die, Chrissy Gnome style, or are you going to go and lift it up lift the dugout off of the dog? And listen, I made a decision then, like, no, that dog is mean. It would have died messing around with me. But, you know, Benny is there to convince everybody to do otherwise.
Yeah.
And so much about being back on the hero thing. Because that whole scene, all I can think about is being heroic. It's the sacrifice that comes. Is not just being good at this sport.
Doing something you're scared.
Doing something you're scared to do away from the field. Doing something truly altruistic. Doing something, putting yourself, your actual self, on the line for the greater good for somebody else.
I'd take it one step down. It's just friendship. Like, it's being someone's ride or die. Like, Benny determined that he was going to be Smalls' friend, and sometimes your friends get in a pickle, and you got to bail your friends out. Like, that's the biggest lesson I think I learned from the Sandlot when I was a kid. Like, you look at it now, and it's kind of like the bigger, broader piece of it, doing something good and the hero's journey. But in the moment, you're like, oh, that's a real one. I would like to be Benny's friend.
Yes, and it's great because he's both of those. Like, simply put, yes, getting into the more complexities of it. Think about legends in sports and think about some of the sacrifices they've had to make, being either the first woman to do something or the first black person to do something. Those types of things matter, and understanding that and realizing that and still shouldering that burden, which the Jet did. Like that's just impressive, and that matters. And then we get to the point where, not to cut you off, but James Earl Jones pops out.
There he is.
As a kid, I'm like, oh, that dude is important. I don't know exactly where I know him from, but he is important.
The voice.
No doubt.
It's just the voice. Like,
Yep.
he has one of the most iconic voices of all time, and there's like instant gravitas with his voice where you're like, oh, this is an important character. This man is more than just Mr. Myrtle living behind with the Beast chained up under his house. Like, this is a man of importance. He's blind. Hercules is his seeing eye dog. We learned that the Beast's name is actually Hercules, and he so simply asked, why didn't you just knock on the door? And all the kids are like going nuts on Squints because somebody originally was like, we should just go knock on the door, and Squints was like, you can't go knock on the door. And so they're all there, and they go into the home of James Earl Jones's character, and he understands immediately. He's like, oh, he's touching the ball. He says, you're in trouble, aren't you, son? And he finds out that it was a ball signed by Babe Ruth, and he says, I take it back, you're not in trouble, you're dead where you stand. But never fear, because Mr. Myrtle has a replacement, and it's even better. It is a ball signed by the 1927 Yankees, Murderers Row, not just Babe Ruth, but also Lou Gehrig. And they freak out. They're like, you knew Babe Ruth? And he goes, George? And you're like, oh, he's on a first name basis with this dude. Like, of course. And he talks about his story, how like baseball was his life and he was good at it. And then one day he had a fastball, the lights went out and it was over for him. And they make a deal with James Earl Jones where he will give them this legendary ball if they promise to come back once a week. And at this point, I am a puddle. I am crying so hard in this movie. And I had this thought as I was crying. I don't remember my parents crying in movies when I was young. I certainly didn't cry watching The Sandlot because you're too cool. You're a kid. You're not going to cry in that moment. But as an adult with like all the weight of it, all the nostalgia, here I am just a complete puddle. Were our parents crying and not showing us? Or were they built different?
I don't think so. I don't think we were as connected to our emotions back then as we are now. Bennett?
No, I mean you don't let it. You got to just kind of like hold it in a little bit. I think they were just holding it in.
Okay.
Yeah. I don't think you let those tears show. You don't show the kids the tears, right?
I wonder. We've talked about this off air, Jessica. I love talking to older people. I love just sitting down and just shooting the breeze with them.
Me too.
And I think some of that comes from I didn't realize how much this movie had an impact on me. I think some of that comes from that conversation they have with James Earl Jones. It's like, wait. Old people might know stuff. Like they might know the things that I think are cool. Let me sit down and like listen.
They might solve problems that I didn't know how to solve.
Let me sit down and ask them a couple of questions.
Old people are cool.
So I think that's why I do that. Looking back on it, if I can self-analyze myself.
We end up with Smalls gives his stepdad the ball. He was mad about it, grounds him for a week, not the rest of his life, and then you finally see him playing catch with stepdad, stepson playing catch together, and you start learning about what happened to each of these kids, which is so real. Like kids just move from the neighborhood, and you get the stories of what they do, even if you don't know them forever. Now we have Facebook and Instagram, and we're forced to know everything about everyone. But back then, like you would just hear, like, oh yeah, I went to military school, and after the army became the pioneer of bungee jumping. Bertram got really into the 60s, was never seen again. Timmy and Tommy became an architect and contractor. They invented mini malls, which was also such a good line. Ham was a pro wrestler because of course he was. He was the great Hambino. Squints married Wendy, which we already got into. De Nunez played AAA ball and owns his own business, coaches a little league team. Hercules lived to be 199 years old in dog years, so he lived a nice long dog life. And then I really start crying because Benny the Jet Rodriguez makes it to the majors. And the last scene is seeing Benny the Jet Rodriguez steal home. And the voice of his team is Scotty Smalls. So he is the play-by-play announcer. The Jet is on the field. They're still having these moments together. Their friendship is a lifelong friendship that expands out of that summer. I am crying so hard. And the movie ends. And it is so beautiful.
I love that part, too, because it just as someone who gets to like produce radio broadcasts for games, that hits you right in the feels. And I agree with you. I love how they, besides Benny and Smalls, that none of them ever see each other again, because that's life.
Yeah.
I mean, the kids that I was friends with at that age, I don't know any of them anymore hardly.
I'm friends
Maybe
with them
one
on
or two.
Facebook though.
Yeah.
It's so weird.
Well, yeah, but they didn't have social media, right?
So they just disappeared.
Yeah, and so I thought that was a cool way to do it, just because that's real life. But yeah, it was a perfect way to end the movie. It really, really was. And he plays for the Dodgers, right?
Yeah.
I think so.
The
Yeah.
hometown team.
Dodgers,
So they're in LA. They're in their hometown.
He's wearing the Dodgers uniform for most of the movie. He's got the Dodgers jersey on with the jeans. And I can't remember if the Dodgers were in LA in the 60s or not, but that's clearly his favorite team. Bennett, you've got to go because you've got to go facts. Before you
We've
go,
got
though.
to go.
Yep.
Well, I'm going to ask Bennett the question, then Bennett's going to get up and leave, and then you're going to answer the questions. Because there are questions circulating in the chat. 1, is this a cult movie? It's a sports movie, but is it also a cult movie in your opinion?
Like a cult classic?
Yeah, I think so, because you don't necessarily have to be like a baseball kid to like this movie, right? Like anybody can like this movie because it just speaks to universal life events, right, as a kid. And so I think that's why it works so well, is because it's more about, I know that, it's got baseball on the cover and everything, and it's about a group of kids playing baseball, but it's really more just about a group of kids growing up together in a summer, which anyone can relate to.
Second question, which one are you? Which one of the Sandlot kids are you? Which kid?
I think I'm Smalls.
You're Smalls?
Yeah.
What makes you Smalls?
Just because not the best athlete, maybe a little timid, like playing sports as a kid. So yeah, I think I would go with Smalls. I was probably a little more like, I probably would have ran up and talked to all those kids a little bit quicker than Smalls would, but some of the things that he does, just his nervousness, that was probably me as a kid, sure.
Last one, and then you got to answer and then leave.
Yep.
Jessica said best sports movie. You agreed with her, so I'm assuming, would this be, forget sports, is this the best baseball movie of all time, in your opinion?
What would compare? Field of Dreams? I mean, what would be
Field of Dreams, Angels in the Outfield, Rookie of the Year.
I freaking love Angels in the I love Angels in the Outfield too. That is a great movie, and I want to revisit that because I haven't seen that since I was a kid either. But I think I'd put this one ahead.
We've got Magical Negroes coming up, so we can throw Angels in the Outfield on that one. Bennett, thank you so much. You got to go home.
Thanks,
yes,
Bennett.
sir.
Thank you, Bennett.
Appreciate it.
Bennett will be on the Gary Parrish Show coming up at 10.
Same questions to you,
now
Jessica.
I'm going to throw it back to you. Cult movie, I think it is a cult classic because those characters, like the adults, actors, can show up to baseball events now, and people will line up to still get their autographs. So for something to be a cult classic, it has to have staying power decades later, and at this point, it still does. And it's so quotable, too. You can just walk behind Bennett.
Yeah, you just
You're
go,
fine.
Bennett. You're
You don't
fine.
have
Just
to
leave.
Limbo
like
it
we're
over there.
not
Just walk
really
right
professional
behind
here.
me.
Wave.
Goodbye.
Bye, Bennett.
We're not really professional. Just keep going.
Yeah.
So I do think it's a cult movie. Next question was, who are you?
Yeah, which one are you?
I think I'm Ham, just because I was the comic relief of the group growing up. But I was never Ham's low key the second best athlete on that team.
Yeah.
Like he's crushing homers constantly. Well, he's the best hitter, maybe.
Okay.
We don't know what he is outside of that. He's a catcher.
Yeah.
We don't see him make any big plays, but we've seen him like at least 3 home runs throughout the course of the movie. And then lastly, is it the best baseball movie? I really do. I don't know. I am obviously often a prisoner of the moment, but I enjoyed watching this movie so much I am willing to call it my favorite sports movie. I look back, and between this and Rookie of the Year, those were baseball movies. And, oh my gosh, why can't I think of the name? Little Giants.
Little Giants.
Little
yes.
Giants. Those 3 are baseball movies that
Little Giants is a
impacted-
football movie.
Not Little Giants. I'm sorry. What's the movie?
What happens? Talk to me.
Hardball.
Hardball.
The
There we go. There we go.
A white savior movie that we
Yes.
could add to the list. But those 3 represent baseball movies. I was never a huge Field of Dream fan. What's the other one? The Rookie.
The Rookie.
Was one that sat in a good place too.
Yeah.
How about you?
Starting
with cult.
I think it is a cult classic. I feel like cult classics.
Oh, League of Their Own. I'm sorry, I forgot.
League of Their Own.
How could I forget the women?
Well, it's not y'all's month. Cult classics have to really resonate with a specific group of people. And I think if you were a kid in the 90s, that's this. This hits you in a special way. And I would assume all of, if not most of the interest in this movie today comes from kids who watched it in the 90s and then grew up and introduced it to a different generation of kids, their kids or their nieces, nephews, things of that nature. So yeah, I think it absolutely is a cult classic. I am Squints, the one with the bad ideas.
Okay.
People usually don't listen to mine, but every now and then they do, and we end up worse for it. So I am Squints. And then what was listen, there are a lot of really good sports movies and a lot of really good baseball movies. I would put this one up there with the best of them. For me, Angels in the Outfield is a tremendous baseball movie. Rookie of the Year is up there for me as well. Did you mention Major League?
No.
But Major League, I like that also. I'm not sure. It's either this or Angel in the Outfield for me. And I'm leaning towards this. This is a phenomenal movie. I love it very, very much. If it's not the best, it's one of the best. If you're one of the best, you're effing phenomenal. And this movie, simply put, effing phenomenal.
There's also an Air Bud baseball movie, Seventh Inning Fetch. So
I forgot about Seventh Inning Fetch.
And there's a musical baseball, which is Damn Yankees, which I've now referenced twice on this here little show.
He played football also. Air Bud, golden
Air Bud plays all
receiver.
sports.
Air Bud
has
is
done
an
everything.
athlete.
Yeah.
And to think Chrissy Nome wanted to
take him out.
abort him.
This is what happens. Your dog could be the next Air Bud. Also, I think my dad would kill me. The Bad News Bears. We watched that a lot when I was a
Bad News
kid.
Bears
Yeah,
is good.
with Walter Matthau.
That's real good.
And then I never consider, like, Moneyball is obviously a baseball movie, but it's such a drama movie that it doesn't sit in the same baseball-y spot for me. But lots of baseball movies. Thanks, everyone, for joining us for The Sandlot. This was fun. Make sure you vote for next week's Summer Movie Series choices. We are doing buddy movies. Your options, again, are Friday, Step Brothers, Dumb and Dumber, and Superbad. Whatever wins, we will discuss next week. We'll let you know what that movie is tomorrow, so you have plenty of time to watch it with us. We're excited to do this the rest of the summer. And, yeah, just remember, legends never die. That's the way we go out. We will see everybody tomorrow. It'll be a Friday. We'll end the week. Have a good one. Bye.
Ran long on that.
I know. We got to get to the zoo.
Huh?
We got to get to the zoo.
Oh, yeah. Bye, everybody.